Alright, what's up, Dragon Brood? So, if you follow my stuff, a couple days ago, maybe like a week ago now, I coincidentally did a Selesnya +1/+1 counters list, and then we started seeing more stuff about the Bant, I forgot what we call these, the brokers, and as it turns out, they care about counters being on things, or particularly just any type of counter, not +1/+1 counters. But that actually means we can kind of run back that list a little bit, add blue, and get us, with these new cards, to kind of a new spot where the deck might be even better. So that's what we're going to be focused on today. We'll take a look at the Bant Brokers, take your pick of how you want to call it, counters list. If you're looking for quality binders, sleeves, dice, deck boxes, or other supplies, be sure to check out Ultrapro's Smoke Gray collection this month over at shop.ultrapro.com/PowrDragn and use promo code PowrDragn to save 5%. Now, I will say the fun part about this list is that it does use a fair amount of existing cards along with newer cards. Not quite a 50-50 split, but enough that you're going to get a feel for new cards and see how they really integrate with stuff we were already doing, which I really like. So starting at the top, we are going to be playing 4 Hopeful Initiate, not hopeless. But the thing about this is it's kind of the only 1-mana thing that does what it can do for this type of deck. And every time you attack with something bigger than it, it gets a +1/+1 counter on it. You can remove 2 +1/+1 counters to destroy an artifact or enchantment. We should have several ways to put counters on things, so this should work out pretty well. But neat idea to have this in the list. Now, the other thing I do like is Gala Greeters ends up giving us another quality 2-mana thing for the deck, because I felt like we were missing that just a little bit in the other lists, and this actually helps pick up that slack. So if you don't know, Gala Greeters is one of the new cards. It's colorless and a green for a 1/1. It has Alliance. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you choose one of the following abilities that has not been chosen this turn. So you can put either a +1/+1 counter on it, you can create a tapped treasure token, or you can gain 2 life. Now, I will say in this list, most of the time you're either going to be putting counters on it or you're going to be making the treasure. Because we are playing 3 colors, the treasure is going to help out quite a lot. We also have a few things that are a tad more expensive and could really help us get where we're going. So we are going to like the treasure, but first order of business is going to be growing your creatures. To that end, we are playing 3 Intrepid Adversary because it is a way to kind of grow our stuff and give us a little bit of finisher and a little bit of life, so we like that. But we are playing 4 Luminarch Aspirant because the card's just silly good, and we want to put counters on things, and this puts a counter every turn. Now, as we step into some more new cards, we are going to be playing 2 copies of Broker's Ascendancy. This is one of each color, and at the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and a loyalty counter on each planeswalker you control. It's pretty straightforward as an Ascendancy. It just says grow your team every turn, make your opponent deal with it. And we like that. So yeah, no complaints there at all. Then we're playing a full set of 4 Broker Charm. Now, this is one of each color for as an instant. You can choose one of the following. You can target creature you control gets +1/+0 to end a turn, and it deals its damage or its power to target creature. It's a bite spell, not a fight spell, meaning it's a one-way damage. You don't actually have your creature take damage. And then you can destroy an enchantment, or you can draw 2 cards. I love the draw 2 cards aspects of this. I don't know how often we'll use it to destroy an enchantment, but even just getting to use it as a removal spell is actually pretty nice. And then we do have 3 copies of Endless Detour. Again, one of each color. It's an instant. And then the owner of target spell, non-land permanent, or card in a graveyard puts it on top or bottom of their library. Now, the key words on this card is that it does say the owner of target thing. This means you can use it on your own stuff. So if you have an enter the battlefield ability you want to reuse, then you can make sure you have a creature or something on top of your library. Maybe you want to protect something from a removal card, or you want to return something that got killed earlier from the graveyard, right? These are all things you can do for your stuff as well as your opponents. So don't write that off whenever you're holding that in your hand. There's a few things you can do with it. Then we're also playing Kadama of the West Tree. This is 3 mana, 3/3. It has reach. It's a legendary creature spirit. And any of your modified stuff, which when we're putting counters on everything, which is all of them, will have trample. And then whenever you deal damage to your opponent, you can go search a basic land and put it into play. Then we have 2 Skyclave Apparitions. because we just wanted some more removal. And then we're trying out one Falco Spara. It's a 4 mana 3/3, has flying trample, has a shield counter, and you can remove a counter from a thing to play a card off the top of your library. You also can look at the top of your library at any time. Now, this is cool because when we're adding counters to stuff every turn, that means we actually have access to stuff on the top of our library pretty regularly. So we should be able to play off the top almost any time we have Falco in play. But we're only playing one for now to try it out, because we want to try some other cards as well. But I would not be surprised if Falco ends up going to a 2 of in this in a future list. We are playing 2 Felidar Retreat. It's a 4 mana enchantment. Whenever a land enters the battlefield, you can create a 2/2 cat or put a +1/+1 on everything, and those creatures have vigilance until end of turn. Really good, no complaints, does what we want it to do in here, especially when you combine it with Kodama. Then we do have Ao, the Dawn Sky. It's a 5 mana, 5/4 vigilance flying dragon. Whenever it dies, you look at the top 7 cards of your library, and you get to choose up to mana value 4 total of permanents and put those into play. Or you can put 2 +1/+1 counters on each permanent you control. Also very powerful in this deck. And then we have 2 Elspeth Resplendent. It's 5 mana with 5 loyalty. You can really, the biggest thing on this is we can pay +1 and put a 1/1 counter on something, and then you give it flying, first strike, vigilance, or lifelink, which is very good. Or you can look at the top of your library, choose a creature, put it into play. I believe it costs 3 or less. And then you can -7 to make 5 3/3 angels. I doubt we'll ever get to the angels, but if we do, awesome. And then we're playing a copy of the Sanctuary Warden. It's a big angel, 6 mana, 5/5, comes into play with 2 shield counters. Whenever you attack with something with a counter on it, you do get to draw a card and make a 1/1. So, like what those are doing for the deck. The lands doing nothing special. We trimmed a few lands just so we can make room for a few basics, so we have stuff to hunt for with Kodama. I don't expect to get a lot of lands with Kodama. It's just really there to help things out a little bit. But otherwise, this is the core of the deck, so we're going to see if the new cards do what we want them to do, alongside the old cards doing what we already know they did well. Now, something I do want to point out is that we may end up wanting to cut like 1 Endless Detour and maybe even 1 Broker's Charm to make room for just 2 actual counters, whether those are just negates or whatever that is. I think just having that could be kind of nice, because I have a feeling there's going to be a fair amount of mid-ranges to slow decks, maybe stuff with a bunch of sweepers, and you don't want to get caught up against those, so having 1 more, 2 more little options there could help. Not enough to shift the deck, but just enough to help those issues. But otherwise, I think the deck actually looks pretty interesting. It brings a bunch of... It's kind of coincidental that we have stuff like Modify or whatever around the same time we get a bunch of stuff that's putting counters on things. But it kind of fits together, so I don't know if this is the answer we're looking for, but I do like the options that it brings to the table, and having that Broker's Charm as basically another instant speed removal spell is also super nice. So yeah, give this one a run if you're looking for something to do with the Brokers or Bant. Also, don't forget to like this video, hit the subscribe button. Also remember to hit that notification bell and pick all notifications so you don't miss all these other decks that are coming out, so you're ready to go for Standard when new Capenna drops. That's all I have for you for now. We'll see you next time.